llms.txt file. Just giving you one example. Okay. Believe it or not, I spoke to like 10 or 15 agency owners. None of them knew about it. It's something new. Now, here's the thing. Now, you can't just autopilot it. You have to use something in Yoast, right? You have the capability to do that, right? Somebody has to still create it, upload it, follow the instructions provided by Yoast, and make sure it's there. So there's still somebody necessary to do all of that. There's still somebody necessary to consume this information about this example which I'm giving you now. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. And LLMs.txt is another good example because some people say, oh, well, it's not being picked up, it's not hugely popular, and so on. Only Anthropic's using it. And my answer is, you've already talked for 20 minutes on LinkedIn or wherever you are about how you shouldn't use LLMs. And in that time, I could have just created the file and uploaded it.
From self-taught SEO in the early WordPress era to leading strategy at Yoast, today's guest has mastered the art of building visibility, trust, and product impact in the open web. Welcome to WP Legends. I'm Gautam, co-founder of Seahawk Media. Joining me today is Alex Moss, Principal SEO at Yoast, the global standard in WordPress SEO, with over 13 million active users and co-founder of Manchester-based agency Firecast. Alex began his journey back in 2010 as a self-taught PHP developer and SEO strategist. In 2013, he co-founded Firecast, delivering enterprise-grade work for major brands while staying deeply rooted in the WordPress ecosystem. Fast forward to 2023, he joined the team at Yoast, where he now leads SEO strategy, shapes product development, and co-hosts their flagship podcast with Carolyn Shelby. What I personally enjoy about Alex, beyond his deep SEO wisdom, is our shared passion for Indian food, which we could probably talk about as much as search algorithms. Today, we'll unpack his evolution from DIY coder to SEO architect, explore the future of AI generated search, and dive into how Yoast is staying ahead in the privacy first multilingual world. Alex, welcome to WP Legends. Let's rewind to the beginning.
Yeah, thanks for having me. What an intro. I feel like sometimes I'm getting old when I hear such an intro. I'm like, wow, I've been around for a while,
Thank you.
right? But yeah, no, it's really nice to have me on. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. It's a pleasure. So let's go back to your early days, 2010 PHP developer and SEO strategist.
Yeah, but weirdly, I think I need to go back further than
Go
that
for it.
even. I mean, I started learning HTML in school, which is weird enough. I was about 14. So
Yeah.
that's going back to like 1998. And I made my first HTML site in Dreamweaver, I believe,
Ah,
and just started making them for fun. Made a South Park fan website. And
ah,
what I didn't realize I was doing SEO at the time. I was basically doing duplicate content because I wasn't writing my own. I was like, well, this site over here has that good content. This site over here has a script for that episode. Let's bring it all together and make a nice little resource. And I started ranking for it. And this is before any of the
of
Google
course.
algorithm updates or major ones anyway to stop abuse. And I was just messing around, just being a teenager, doing teenage things for a hobby. And then I just kind of realized, fast forward, that in my year out, between A levels and university, I was going to do law in uni, and just in my year out, I did web development. I taught myself PHP with. I had work experience, and they gave me the PHP manual in digital form and went, read it. That's all I had. So I was reading that. I was using Notepad, which was white background, black text, nothing else, no other
Yes.
formatting, no color coding. That's how I started PHP. And then fast forward to around 2010, I start discovering WordPress, and I was like, wait a minute, there's a CMS. This is great. And I was hard coding everything. So
Mm.
scale was obviously not the best thing that I could do. And I was a kid. I didn't really have much experience in the big wide world of the internet. And I kind of just knew because I knew PHP, everything made sense. Everything was nice out of the box, or should I say, the nicest by far that any other CMS was offering. And more importantly, it was open source, which meant, you could have third parties
Of course.
creating plugins and extending the core offering. And it just kind of went from there. And coupled with my SEO experience, because at that point I've been in a few years already. I started professionally in like 2005 or something, just before I graduated. And then it just kind of all stuck, and I kind of just did SEO and WordPress kind of together, which is how Firecask formed
Got
with
it.
me and my wife. And we created it because Anna was already working in agencies who were specializing in finance and legal, and that was her
Right.
background in university as well.
Okay.
And she was more creative, I was more technical, and we just opened up together and did both organic marketing and WordPress dev and design. And here we are, 13 years later, still doing it.
So tell me about your role at Yoast, Principal SEO. What does it all entail? What do you do exactly at Yoast?
Um, I get my fingers in all the pies of the business, weirdly enough. And at the beginning, because our background isn't necessarily, we're an SEO inside of a company, we're there to improve the visibility. But this was unique because the product was that as well.
True.
So I've come in from a product level as well as an SEO level, and I hadn't really had much product development experience beyond making my own plugins, but I made nothing sophisticated like the likes of Yoast or Elementor or Jetpack. I
Mhm.
made a few plugins. One was called Facebook Comments, and all it did was replace the native comments with the Facebook comments. And the other one I did was EU cookie law before GDPR existed. So I had that, and those are two very simple ones. So other than building them, I didn't have great grandiose experience of product development, but what I do know is SEO, and what I do know is Yoast as a product because I've known it for, I've been
The
using it
same.
since before.
The
Yeah,
same. I know SEO in and out. I understand the plugin. I can't code shit, but I know my SEO really well. That's for sure.
exactly, exactly. So as part of my role, I do best practice with Carolyn, who's my American counterpart as well.
Okay.
She's come from an enterprise corporate background, whereas I've come from small business agency. So our combined knowledge fits really well. So we get involved with new features, we improve existing features, ensure that everything's best practice, that kind of stuff. And as well as that, dip into the marketing department, input in that, and of course, come up with innovative features as time goes on because we've got to add more to the feature set that we have over time. It can't just stay stale, right?
Of
So
course, on that front, look at what's happening with search. I was just speaking about this somebody the other day. What is happening with the way people search, with what the way people are consuming internet, is changed so dramatically over the past 6 months. It's not happened in the past 15 years. Would you agree? Especially with the Google AI generative overview and other search stuff. So how
I
would you
would I
keep
would
up?
say it's maybe more dramatic than 15 years ago. To me, 15 years ago, which doesn't seem that long ago, was when the Google algorithm was getting more sophisticated. But you
Yeah,
still had your ten blue links on a normal SERP, and all they did was, evolve it with visual
true.
assets and, ads and so on and so forth. But I'm comparing this to like the breakthrough of the internet. And in the same way that there was the dot-com bubble, and prior
Yes.
to the dot-com bubble, there were a bunch of you know, uh, the community basically said that they were a bunch of nerds, right? Who were there early on the dot-com bubble, and now they're the ones laughing because they were there
True.
early, understood what to do, and capitalized as
True.
well as brought up innovative ideas. But this is kind of the same thing at the moment. Is what it's like a new version of the internet, and because of that, it's not just the way we search; it's just the way we discover anything.
Answers. We want answers now. That's why we are using
Yes.
ChatGPT or Gemini. I think so.
Well, yeah, but it goes beyond that because one can say that Google was an answer engine beforehand. You asked it a query, a question, keywords, and so on, and it provided you with answers. And then we had to go out and find out more. We had to do more investigating and more knowledge into
Yes.
our brains to make informed decisions. That's now being kind of taken away by an assistant engine now, which is your chat GPTs of the world, which take the answer engine and add a layer of understanding and
Just Google's
context and
AI
research.
overview. Just look at Google's AI overview. You know, the because that's the first result now. It's a standard. Yes.
Yes, yes, and it's actually they said it was rolling out today in the UK. I don't know when this is going to come out as an on YouTube and whatever, but um, I still can't get it personally, so I'm assuming it's rolling out in the next 48 hours, something like that. But yeah, I've not really used it much because I don't, focus on VPNs and stuff. I kind of like to wait until it's in my domain and then I test those things out. And of course, Carolyn has had more opportunity to use it based in the US. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's been shaking up a lot of businesses And I feel like a lot of just focusing on the negatives of, well, they're stealing my clicks and so on and so forth, and my visitors are going away, and part of me does sympathize for that because everything that we've been doing for these last 15 years have been attracting a beautiful shop window, which is nice to walk through and convert within. But now that again is kind of being taken away, but that's not to say that the LLM isn't crawling on our behalf, which it's doing. It's seeing a screen and it's navigating kind of like what a human does,
Yes,
just
yes.
emulating what we're doing. It's just that's now the agent doing that work for us and bringing it back. And again, yes, there is a little bit of sympathy, but something is going in there. So I would like to think that A, SEO isn't dead, B, websites aren't dead yet,
Mhm.
at least in the form that they're in. Maybe there's a new version of what a website may be.
We don't know. We don't know. Maybe with ChatGPT and Johnny Ive combining forces, Sam Altman and Johnny Ive, who knows? There's a new
Yeah,
internet, a new Apple, a new Samsung. Who knows? We don't know.
exactly. But I feel like all of these large companies now, like your Johnny Ives and such, and all of these business dealings that are going on, is one huge data collection activity. And we can
So
see that with the introduction of the browser race. I don't know if you've used any of these AI powered or AI primary based browsers, but
I haven't yet, but now I'm curious. Now you're saying that.
I have to say I'm quite excited at what it does. I used Dia, which I didn't get into. That was the new one where Arc was deprecated. If you remember Arc browser, I think they've actually
I
properly
remember
deprecated
Edge.
now.
I remember Firefox is still there, but I have not used it in a very, very long time, to be very honest with you. But the new ones you're saying, I have to look into them now.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's an even newer one which is Comet, which has been introduced by Perplexity, and I've been using it for the last week. I got an invite to it, and it's been really cool because it adds
Yes.
yet another layer to what we
It's all
think
over
is a
Instagram, by
layer.
the way. Everybody's talking about that and Lovable, of course, needless to say. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Well, Lovable's more like a developer haven, isn't it? You know, like Desktop Commander and the use of MCPs within your own
True.
client and stuff like that to do what you need to do. But yeah, Comet adds this other layer where you can use browser history, open tabs to add context, rather it just scouring the internet like what we know so far. But again, even that, I think it's going to evolve again. I think that we'll start talking in 5 to 10 years' time about, do you remember the early days of AI when we had
Oh,
to prompt,
I can't even
you
think
know?
about, I can't even think about 5 or 10, to be very honest, with the way things are evolving now. We can't keep up with AI. It's unbelievable,
We
basically.
can't, we can't, and yet in technology, this to me is the version of the 14.4 KB modem that's just come out. And soon
Well said.
there'll be 2 megabyte internet fiber connections, all of that, and that's all coming, and it is going to come. And whilst I feel like you say, I can't keep up with everything that's going on, and I feel like that too. Is it because we're in this echo chamber of the job that we do and we feel like we need to know everything as soon as possible? The other part of me says, well, chill out because there's a lot more people who are going to do all of that testing for you. And then you can sit back and see the fruits of the labor of that testing whilst the actual product developers
True.
themselves improve based on that. I feel like that's what Dejan SEO does, Dejan Petrovic. He goes out and does all the work I want to do, and then he just does it and says, hey, here it is on a nice silver platter. And then I just read it and I feel like I'm gaining time while stealing his knowledge. But it's because of people like him and people like Lily Ray pointing out all of the weaknesses of AI overviews. Like, whilst you may say, oh, it's just these influencers in the
Mhm.
space who are going out and just pointing out bad things for the sake of it. I disagree. I believe that Lily's work, whilst initially just observations, have ended up shaping the way that some of the stuff is done and synthesized since, because
Yes.
people inside Google will take her seriously, look at those experiments specifically, and apply some more logic or rules or limitations to bring out something more accurate. And therefore, she's helping more than any of us are. You know,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
and again, we sit back and we find that AI overviews are improved, and we don't have to do or observe a thing because Lily did it for us.
True.
So it's interesting how it is going to improve, but I'm more interested in people who don't really know much about AI and they don't have a clue the changes that are happening, and all of a sudden AI mode, is just there.
Agent mode. Now, ChatGPT's agent mode, I've been using it for the past 24 hours. It's mind blowing. It still has some issues, let's say. But yeah, like you mentioned, it's like a modem doing that, making that noise, and it's going to move into fiber optics in the next few weeks or few months.
Yeah,
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 but it's
it's
unbelievable.
crazy.
It's saving me days of worth of work, research.
It is. But when you sit, like, the important thing is you said it's still not right, and I'm definitely seeing that in connectors and agents that they're just doing things from a primitive level,
Yeah.
which then also reminds me this is the worst it always is and going to be. So only today onwards it's going to get better and better and better. So in 3 years' time, that thing where you'll be pointing out that was a bit silly. I wouldn't have done it that way.
Yeah.
They've mastered that already. But then I don't know, going down this AI rabbit hole can scare you. There's enough interviews with Sam Altman and, the godfather of AI who was interviewed on the Diary CEO. All of these people give you this legitimate fear of, all of this stuff that may take over. But again, do we need to think of the positives? Because someone else said, well, it'll figure stuff out, so maybe we don't need to work as much later on in life. And then someone's argument will be, well, how do I get money? And the answer is, well, money won't be as important because the technology around us is looking after things that we may need to work for
Grok
and
could be
do.
making you money on the stock market while you're sleeping.
Exactly, exactly. And whilst there's all of those X handles that will say, hey, look, passive income and all of that, and we'll still have to do some, actions and approvals for actions.
No,
I
no, I
think
think
that,
the future is being commanders, is being captains of the ship. That's the future.
yes,
Either you become the captain or probably you will be jobless. I think so. I just saw a
yes,
news this morning. TCS laid off 15,000 people, and they were senior mid-level managers, software engineers, etc., because they don't need them. What can they do? So it's the hard truth. So people either I think everybody or anybody need to start thinking towards that whether their job can be replaced by AI in the next 6 months to 2 years, and if it can be, you should be prepared for it and just work with it and stop crying about it. I know a lot of software engineers complaining about ChatGPT and Lovable nonstop on LinkedIn, and they keep on hating on it. But come on, guys, like Lovable is genius. It's absolutely phenomenal.
yes, yes. And I sometimes when I think of people who are being overly critical about everything, the way in which search engine results have changed and adapted, things like the HCU and part of me is like this stuff is, whilst personally devastating for some people and like losing jobs over AI, focus that time now, get off X, don't rant, use that time to learn something where AI can help you do something better.
It
And
does.
like you say, some of these jobs are going to get autonomy, anything that automation, sorry, anything that requires automation and just boring old tasks are going to go. And yeah, I believe that our kind of jobs are, whilst they seem at risk, I think that there's other verticals that are way more at risk
No,
who
no,
are
no,
very
no, no.
unaware.
I think it's only the requirements only going to improve. You just mentioned the word
Oh yeah.
LLM. For example, let me just give you an example, okay? Everybody, just now, I think, and you can tell me about this also, llms.txt file, just giving you one example, okay? Believe it or not, I spoke to like 10 or 15 agency owners. None of them knew about it. It's something new. Now, here's the thing. Now, you can't just autopilot it. You have to use something in Yoast, right? You have the capability to do that, right? Somebody has to still create it, upload it, follow the instructions provided by Yoast, and make sure it's there. So there's still somebody necessary to do all of that. There's still somebody necessary to consume this information about this example which I'm giving. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. And LLMs.txt is another good example because some people say, oh, well, it's not being picked up, it's not hugely popular, and so on. Only Anthropic's using it. And my answer is, you've already talked for 20 minutes on LinkedIn or wherever you are about how you shouldn't use LLMs. And in that time, I could have just created the file and uploaded it. Like, and then it's done, and then you've got it. And so what if only Anthropic are using it? It's Anthropic. Are you
Yep.
saying that you don't want to optimize the way that Perplexity can potentially see your site? Because if the answer is no, then what kind of SEO are you saying? Are you if something that requires hardly any tech debt,
True,
zero cost really, other than time, getting an IT person to upload one TXT file
true.
to the root directory, is this really worthy of discussion? Because if it is, I need to know why so much time is being spent poo-pooing it when really you can just do it. What's there to lose? And these are those
On just
things.
Yeah, and on this front, and I'm very curious about this, and I was dying to ask you this, okay? What do you think, in your perspective, is the future of schema in the grand schemes of AI, SEO, and LLMs and stuff? Do you think schema will exist in the near future sector? Because especially with WooCommerce product,
Yeah.
Q&A, FAQ, what do you think about that?
Um, I think that the word schema should not be used as the primary reference to structured data because schema is something within structured data.
Okay.
So I guess you can ask two questions. What's the future of schema? That
Mhm.
I don't know, and maybe over time LLMs will make that deprecated.
Mhm.
However, that does not mean that structured data in itself is not important. In fact, I believe that's more important. And whether it's schema.org that evolves around LLM usage
Mhm.
and the way in which it ingests sites, or whether it's another solution that is yet to be proposed, I do believe that structured data is key for any kind of context, right? It provides meaning, and I guess it can be widened to include Markdown, like LLMs, formatting of said meaning
Yeah.
is really important. And I think that the way that LLMs are progressing, they will want that information. And what we can both agree is that all of these LLMs and agents and so on, they go off tokens. They want to be as efficient as possible, and therefore they'll try and find the cheapest way or the thing that takes the least amount of resource, capacity, and cost, and they'll go for that. And structured data is a way of spoon feeding those LLMs to make those
Yeah.
processes faster, more efficient, and therefore cheaper. And therefore, it has a role. So to me, it has a role in the efficiency and therefore cost of computation by these LLMs.
I see.
But for us as humans, maybe less so. But again, you need to understand if you're searching for a shoe. For example, I always use a shoe as an example because it's I use it in Yoast for product variants because it's you can really go down the rabbit hole with shoes
You
alone.
can. You
You
can.
can,
Yeah.
and because of that fact and because I have that mentality in mind, I think, well, if over time, because now connectors are connecting to your Gmail and they're getting much more history and context, they may know the kind of shoe that you may be after based on what you've been purchasing in the past. They may also know that you like, I don't know, the red spectrum over the blue spectrum for whatever reason, and then it'll know that context, but then it has to fetch that red trainer. How's it going to do that, right? It
That's
can
true.
search for the word red trainer. That's great, but that's just a block of text. The structured data helps to know that it is a type of shoe. It's a trainer, so it's
Yeah,
red.
to
It's
find
for
the right
male.
info. Yeah, 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 yeah.
All of those things
Good
that
point.
help it understand better context in order to serve the most relevant response. Because if we start asking this exact same questions in ChatGPT, one would hope that we're going to be given two different recommendations, and I will like mine and you will like yours, but we may not like each other's.
Yeah, good point. Very, very good point. Is this is this one of the reasons, or maybe one of the biggest reasons, would you say, that Yoast also came up with the Shopify plan as well? And when did it happen, basically?
The Shopify app itself, well, as
Yeah.
a whole, you mean as a whole, as the product? Well,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah.
before my
Because I just
time.
realized when I was preparing your intro and doing some research, like I didn't even realize that Yoast has a Shopify plan now. Like I was like, okay, wow. Like how did I miss this? So like why didn't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so it's been around for a while, when Yoast himself was still in the company. And I think it was on a request. So often, like, are you going to do it for Shopify? Are you going to do something for Shopify? And before that was Magento, if you remember that
Of course,
CMS.
of
Like, I
course.
know it's still around, but like, since it got acquired by Adobe, I've not really heard it more than
No,
three
no,
times
people are
in
moving
passing.
off. We get requested our own agency, Seahawk Media, for people migrating from, WordPress to WordPress, from Magento, all
It's
this.
crazy.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
crazy. So yeah, so there was the whole Magento phase, and I tried to have a look at maybe making a Magento SEO plugin when I knew that Yoast didn't really care about Magento at the time or have interest in it because
Yeah, I've
Yoast
never heard of.
SEO with
Yeah.
WordPress was going well. But then over time, Shopify got more and more popular, and there was just a need for it. And again, whilst I wasn't around, I can imagine Yoast probably spent the morning having a look at all the other SEO plugins or extensions from Shopify, came to the conclusion that they weren't very good
It's a very
or
smart
he
move.
needed it.
It's a very
Yeah.
smart move. Should I tell you why? A friend of mine, I was talking to him in the gym the other day, and I was speaking about this with somebody else in the podcast also. He's launching a hoodie and t-shirt store and caps and stuff and socks, whatever. He did a research, about 400, 500 of his competitors in the UK, and more than 97, 98% of the stores he researched on were on Shopify, WooCommerce, by the way. Okay, so think what you make for this kind of synopsis. But at the end of the day, it's good that Yoast is prepared for that. But I believe even now, like Yoast's mostly revenue, which is part of the new Fold ecosystem, as Yoast revenue would be mostly from WordPress and WooCommerce and agency customers, would you say?
Yeah, well, I mean, no, I mean, Shopify's still doing really well, to be fair, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
going, it's on the up and up, and WooCommerce, it's always been doing well, and it's a fight between the two of them, but like we're within both of them, so we're not
Yeah.
like picking a side, and I guess that we've got more experience over time with WordPress, but the other thing is if we want to release a product sometimes or a feature, we'll release a feature in WordPress, we'll understand and learn more,
Yep.
and then we'll apply it to Shopify later if it's applicable. I know that there's different stack. There's definitely more limitations in Shopify than there are what you can do in WordPress. But people are really finding it valuable. And again, it's not just about the install and forget. It's not just about that, as you know, it's about what to do next, what to write about, why it may be important, what's the point of writing anything, what's the end goal, is there any need for it, is it going to get picked up and ranking or
Yeah,
being
especially
visible
because
within an
everybody's
LLM?
offering now the AI generative for meta tag titles, meta tag descriptions, image alt tags, you name it. Everybody's doing that. But that
Yep.
doesn't mean that Google's going to reward you. Google will only reward you if you actually, spend time. If you're actually devoting pain
Yes.
towards the content. That's what I believe in personally. And it rewards me and my company at Seahawk Media. Unless we humanize it, genuinely, Google knows it. Google will not reward you. That much I'm sure about now, at least.
Yes, and we've got that in Yoast where it's not just automated, right? It just doesn't we do generate titles and meta descriptions, but we generate five, and then you get to choose which one is there. So you're approving something still. You're in the approval process. You're not giving it away. And what we haven't done is got one of those magic buttons that says, here's 1,000 word post on whatever the title is based on some keyword. And here you go. We're going to publish it. Actually, we're going to publish 20 today at different points in the day. Very nice for you when you've got all that automation, but it's not going to work in the long term. And once it screws you over, you can't recover from these things anywhere near as easily as you used to. I do know on X somewhere, someone was talking about how they did programmatic AI content generation en masse on a domain, and it was like, you know how it starts. It was working really well,
Yeah, it will
and
do
then it's
really,
like,
really
oh
well.
yeah, yeah,
Explode
and it
millions
goes
of
up and
views.
up and up,
And boom.
boom, goes down, and it's like, oh, why did that happen? And yet, because you knew what you were doing wasn't
It was just
kosher,
about
it
matter of
wasn't the
getting
right
caught.
path.
You got
No,
caught.
yes, and the algorithm caught you. And unfortunately, as these algorithms get even more complex and AI start taking over the decisions and updates of those algorithm updates, you'll see that these holes that people are finding, like I think I saw someone do hey, you can do white text on white background and you'll get found in an LLM. I'm never going to tell anyone to do that. Like this is history repeating itself. Do you not know what happened last time when you did that 15 years ago? There's, these animals that Google named algorithm updates after that you really need to
Oh yeah,
read it.
it started out with panda and penguin and all those. Oh my God.
Hummingbird and Bert,
Yeah.
and there were several. And did I say hummingbird? That
Yes,
was a
you did.
local one. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But there's loads. There were loads of them, and they were all there to basically close up holes observed by bad actors.
Bad backlinks. People were buying backlinks from all over,
Yeah.
weird sites from Asia or Eastern Europe and Russia or whatever, and they were getting rewarded, and then they were not getting rewarded, and they were penalized, and you have to disavow them. You name it.
Just describing that sounds so dicey.
I
Do you know what I
know.
mean? It's so dodgy. And now, like you look back at that, and through Firecask, we've not been doing the, purchase backlinks to PBNs, quantity is better than quality. Like that's for those other
What do you think
agencies
about
that are
backlinks
doing that.
now, though? Of the near future of
Well,
backlinks? Near future.
there will still be a future in it because there will still need to be citations between web pages or whatever those things or whatever is going to be served
We
to
still need
us.
a DR. We still need a DR because
Yeah.
ChatGPT and OpenAI or Gemini, they still depend on the Google search at the end of the day. So we,
Yes, and we still need to think about EEAT. And
oh
yes,
yes,
it's not a
absolutely.
ranking factor, right? But remember that Google say things specifically. They're very careful with their words. So to me, when they say EEAT is not a direct ranking factor, I hear all I hear is the word direct. Oh, so it's an indirect one, right? You'd say
No,
otherwise
no,
you would have
no.
just
I
said
am
it's
with
not
you
a
on.
ranking
I
factor.
am with you on EEAT. I scream and shout to my team whenever I get a chance when I sync with my marketing and blog and content team. Please make sure you keep one updated with yourself because I just use that word pain and hard work. All I
Mhm.
know is if you spend time on an article, if you spend days on an article, Google sees it. Google knows that you've done your research, even with AI, exceptionally well. It's not
Yep.
possible they don't reward you with page one, top three, or top five. Sometimes it's a matter of luck, also. I don't know. But, but at least it rewards you on page one. That much I know. If you've spent
Yeah.
time on it, that much I know.
Well, that's the other thing to think about. Like, it doesn't mean that content's harder to rank for. It just means that the bar's higher for
Yes.
quality. And
Yes.
no offense to, because let me tell you, I'm terrible at writing content, or I believe that I am. Like when I write for like Search Engine Journal, the editor's like, "This is
Doesn't
great
look like it,
content"
though.
and
Doesn't look
stuff.
like
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But when I write, I don't believe because I'm more technical. I don't believe I can come from a background of content writing, especially en masse, in the quality that I do it. But if you just did that all the time, and content writers out there have been doing things in mediocre ways for doing content for content's sake, those are the people that should be worried. But again, I can't sympathize too much because you know that you're doing mediocre work. Like, do stellar work, and you will find that you outgrow everyone else out of their mediocrity, and you'll find that you do get discovered because you've been producing
I will
better
say
and more
this.
relevant work.
I will say this to all of our listeners that, and you're also saying the same thing, that use AI as much as you want, but make sure you still read it. Make sure you still read the article. Make sure you still improve it. Make sure the images which you're using is just not an AI image from ChatGPT or some other tool. Humanize it to the best of your ability, and you will be rewarded. I always say that to all of my readers. Because we're coming up on time, I do have a couple of burning questions, especially for you. Now, I know SEMrush, Ahrefs, whatever, any favorite, by the way, between these two?
I've always been a SEMrush user over the years. Of course, I've used Ahrefs,
Why do
but
you
I've
think,
just
it's just one question which is bothering me. Like they're charging several $100s or thousands of dollars extra just to show us how well we will rank on LLMs. Do you think that's fair? Do you think it's okay? Or do you think Yoast may be coming up with something like that? Because
I
it's
don't
insane. It's not $50 a month extra. It's five
know.
thousand or $2,000 a month extra. It's insanity. So I'm just
It
wondering.
is. It is. But now I see behind the curtain, and I see how much effort has to be made to get that right. Because if SEMrush or Ahrefs or anyone releases something, it has to be accurate. It has to be really well thought out. It can't be just do this, that, and the other and
Good
splodge it
point.
together and hopefully we've got a product. So it is weird because it's interesting being inside Yoast because when you do product development, I find it all really fascinating, the actual conversations, but the conversations going through a scope, feasibility, all of that stuff you realize how much work is involved in getting all of those things and the under the hood stuff that works
So
in a weird way, like you install Yoast SEO, you spent 20 seconds activating something when really
you
the
still have to
culmination
maintain
of
it.
years of works
No, no, no.
coming.
Maintain it, support tickets, making sure feature rich, making sure all of that.
Yeah,
There are salaries to be paid. There's product teams, marketing teams. I totally get it. I totally
exactly,
understand.
exactly. So yeah, but the other thing is it'll get cheaper as everything else gets cheaper, as
Yeah.
everything gets more efficient. And also they have to do supply and demand, how many people actually want it and willing to pay for it. And also, is it all correct as well? Like, and more importantly, this is what I'm saying to my stakeholders and clients. I'm scared of giving some of those metrics to people because of two reasons. First of all, the stack and the technology may change in the next year, right? So, for example, we can just use AI overviews is now gonna become AI mode. So all the benchmarks and metrics we've been given so far about AI out the window because now they're not right. And then in a year, you can't benchmark against the year on year.
Yeah,
And then you've got
yeah.
behavior. It's crazy. The past year and a half to two, basically ever since ChatGPT's come out, to I would say another 2 years ahead is going to be murky and a nightmare for data analyzers.
Mm.
And it's going to be a hard job for us marketers because we're going to have to be able to show value on things that are
Is
changing
yours
all
coming
the
up with
time.
something like this? Is yours planning? I'm sure you must have a very, very strong roadmap ahead, but is yours coming up with something crazy like that? In
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I can't say these things, can I? I'm not all the way at the top to make these announcements. But, we've also got to, we can't just rest on our laurels and just assume that, schema is going to be around forever and be just as important, just as other things become more and
got
less
it.
important. But there's like when we go back to content, it's not just about, X amount of words. Keyword density, which is kind of a past thing, but still we have to use some of those elements in our readability to understand the content as a whole. But those things are going to become more sophisticated as content construction as a whole becomes more of a focal point as the value, as the bar has been raised for
Of
quality
course.
of content. So it's not just that. So there'll just be the technicalities, insights, and production. Those are the three things that I would say are going to be big on not just our roadmap, but I reckon a lot of SaaS-based
Awesome.
platforms
Awesome.
out there.
So besides SEO and Yoast, obviously, what other plugins are necessary in your agency, which you really love? It's nothing to do
Um,
with SEO. Nothing to do with SEO.
Nothing to do with SEO. Well, I did a talk at Brighton where I
Okay.
went through how to make your own site without any code. I was
Okay.
able to do it with, albeit I did 50 lines of code and 30 of it was CSS. So that was just me being, a perfectionist. But I'm trying to think, I remember installing 14 or 15 plugins, and my usual go-tos are Yoast, and it depends who the client is and what their budgets are. But I would go for I need a form, so that would be CF7 or Gravity. I would need a defense, a security based one, so it would
Yes.
either be WordFence or Securi. I would also add elements of Cloudflare, even though I know they've got a plugin. I personally don't use the plugin. And I just go through Cloudflare. Then you've got image optimization. Tiny
Yes.
PNG is my usual choice, although I know EWWW's out there. Um, I'm just trying to think of others that are out there. I usually do
That's a
pop-up
good
mobile
mix.
stuff.
That's a good mix. That's a good mix because form,
Yeah,
SEO,
security, performance.
security,
Yeah, there's another
hosting, and
one.
hosting. Most importantly, people need good managed WordPress hosting. I keep on saying
They
that.
do, they do. And again, it depends how good you are. Can you do it yourself, or do you need someone, like you or I to look after that server
Uh,
where that's our problem and we can get different solutions. But, I know that Bluehost have been doing really, really good stuff in the hosting space. They've got WordPress Cloud or WP Cloud, don't know what the official product
yeah,
title is, and that's been doing really well, both for small businesses up to enterprise. And that's been working really well. And I know that Bluehost group as a whole have been doing a lot inside the WordPress space, and it's always been
I
their
know. Yes.
core business
I
interest.
see the Yoast booths at all WordCamps. Are you heading to any WordCamp soon, by any chance?
Um, Not me personally yet. I'm hoping to be in WordCamp Asia in Mumbai next year. I was at Taipei last year. I'm not going to make this year's one in Portland, but I know that we have a booth. There'll be probably
I
some
will be there.
incentivized giveaway.
I will go
So
there. I will say hello to all of them. I will go there for sure.
no, I need proof. You'll need to do a tweet with selfies and
Oh,
whatnot. So
100%.
make sure you do
100%.
that. Make sure you do that. But yeah, there'll be some prizes there, I'm sure, to give away. And we're always there.
I only bring this topic up as much as I can because I always educate our listeners that if you've never been to a WordCamp, and I know a lot of you have not been to WordCamps, how important it is to go to WordCamps, especially the three big ones, the US, the Europe, and the Asia one. The Asia one next year is in Mumbai. You're going to get the best food of your life. And I know you love Indian food. So you're going to have the best time of your life over there.
Can't wait. I'm going to. I need to find the best paratha that I've ever had, and I
Oh,
have something called Mysore Bonda. I don't know if you've had them. The
I think
potato
what we're gonna do
balls.
is because most of my team is in India, and we're gonna get like the whole gang there whenever this is gonna happen. We're gonna just book like this this crazy restaurant which I know about and just book the whole floor and just invite everybody for the best butter chicken and dal makhani and all of that.
Amazing, amazing. I actually like those bigger parties, right? Because that's an opportunity to have a little small bit of all the different curries, rather than, if you're sitting
I
in a
know.
restaurant and you order yours and maybe you'll dip a bit of something and someone else is next to you. That's all you're gonna
All I
get.
can
And
advise
sometimes I'll
is
say, "Oh, what's that over
all
there?"
I can advise you is make sure that you get at least 3 to 5 days extra, maybe with your family, make a vacation out of it so you can explore that part. Maybe go to Goa and explore the beaches there as well. It's not too
Yes.
far. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
the water temperature. Listen, I moved from India to the UK 4.5 years ago indefinitely, and I can tell you the water temperature is nowhere close, no matter how hot it gets, which is very, very rare, as you know.
Yeah. Look,
Anyway,
I never complain. I never complain when it's here because I know it's going away very soon.
I know. Anyways, thank you so much for being on my show, Alex. I'm very happy that I got a chance to speak with you, and I wish you the best. And I look forward to seeing you, if not at a WordCamp, maybe in London or maybe Manchester. Maybe I'll just come.
Yeah, I'm down in London a few times. Maybe there's I know you mentioned there's the WordPress meetups in London. I know there's another
I will send you my
conference.
WhatsApp number after this conversation. Please hit me up whenever you are here. Okay, do let me
Yes, yes, and there's Brighton SEO as well. I know that WordPress land isn't the same as SEO land, but in October, I
know.
know I'll be attending, and Alain Schlesser will be talking
I've been
there.
I've been there once. It was very good. I loved it. It was really, really good. Very powerful event.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's
Thank
worth it.
you.
Well, thanks very much for having me. It was a great chat.
Bye. Thank you so much.